Where is your will? Is it actually current? Does somebody that you trust have a copy of it? You'd be amazed at how often the last will seems to go missing, and there's no central register for wills. So really, it's the last original will that somebody can find that's going to be deemed to be your final will, even if it's not. So do you have a power of attorney? Is it for just one person? Or is it for more than one person, and do they have to act jointly, or can it be either of them? Is it an enduring power of attorney? Okay, there is a lot to cover when it comes to estate planning, wills, and powers of attorneys. But the first thing that I want to talk about is that of blended families and wills. And for me, it highlights how important it is to have a will done by a specialist if you do have a blended family. I would recommend that you use an estate lawyer who specialises in wills and estates. So the other thing that we see a lot of with a blended family is kind of similar. So one person leaves their assets to their partner, unless they both die at the same time, in which case they would leave their assets to their own children. So essentially, each partner is leaving their assets to their own kids. So do a proper will, especially if you have a blended family. In my opinion, the money you spend on a proper will be the best money you ever spend if there's any chance that your will could be contested. And I could almost guarantee that you know someone who's been involved in a dispute about a will. It's not uncommon. Now, is your power of attorney just a power of attorney, or is it an enduring power of attorney? One gives someone the act as if they were you. So if you can't act anymore, neither can they. Just remember, you're giving a power of attorney the ability to act as if they were you. It's a position of trust to manage your finances correctly, and sometimes over a long period of time. So while they might have an obligation to act in your best interests, their idea of that might differ to yours. Their idea of risk might differ to yours. They might think that investing in some brand new business that their niece is starting up is a great way to invest your money. Make sure you have these conversations with whoever it is while you can. It should really be the same person who you would trust to have a copy of all of your passwords on your computer at the moment. Which is another point. It is a good idea for somebody to be able to access your files if something happens to you. Does anyone know your passwords and where all of your files are kept? A lot of the time, people have put their wills into a very safe place and then they can't remember where that is. Or maybe you've left the original will or power of attorney with a solicitor whose business then went under, or who changed its name 3 times, and then the guy that you dealt with left and went out on his own. Well, who actually has your will and power of attorney when you need it? You need to take ownership of all of this, knowing this is what I've got, this is where it all is, this is what's going to happen to my money if something happens to me. While we're on the topic of super, it's really important to know that your super does not necessarily form part of your will. Super is actually its own entity. It's not typically an estate asset. And this isn't just for self-managed super funds, this is for all super funds. You can only leave your super to a financial dependent. That is your spouse, de facto, or children. So here's a tip. A financial planner might actually be able to help you plan to reduce the tax burden to your kids using a couple of different strategies. You should talk to them about whether that's possible in your situation though. Here's another tip. If you know you're unwell and you have a terminal illness, so not all of us get this, this notice, but some of us do. If you were going to leave your children, your adult children, your super, then make sure you talk to a financial advisor about whether your super should be taken out of pension or out of your super fund.